Guys, hey, well, we're back for just a check-in on the 1992 300ZX twin turbo little red transmission service. Thank you for watching the Baddest D in the Land channel. We love you and we're grateful that you watch our videos, or even if you just flip through and just check it out, that's fine too. Subscribe if you like it. We try to bring you interesting content. But what we did, one of the things we do with this car, not just because it's a national level show car, but because we respect ourselves and the amount of hard work and money we've put into it, is we never do anything to Little Red, even a preventive maintenance, that we don't try to put it back together better than it was before. And so I just had this idea. This is the automatic transmission pan. It was disgusting. It was of course 31 years old, and it had caked on black. It's originally black paint with about, I don't know, 30 years of grease on it. And so so I'm going to show you what we did. But we shot 3 coats of Rust-Oleum primer on it. This is 3 coats of I'm going to show you the paint. So I'm just going to set the camera down. I'll show you the paint, and then I'll show you what we did. And it was not fun. So here's the key. So this is it's just a wire brush cup style, max 4,500 RPM, Hart, just cheap Walmart brand. We bought this for our DeWalt drill, and we got on that bad boy for, oh, I don't know, about an hour and 20 minutes and took it down to metal. Now we couldn't get down here in the sides. That was just impossible to get on because I couldn't hold it. Didn't want to try to put it in a vice situation in the garage. And so it just took time. So you just, have your drill, you just get down on it, bear down on it, work around all these seams. And you see those, I don't know what they're really called, but there's like divots in the pan with cross members. It's actually kind of a braid pattern. It looks really cool now that it's at this stage, but it was disgusting. And so we spent dedicated time with the drill, got it all the way down to metal, except for the sides. On the sides, we have this gel paint remover that we'd never used. We have half gallon of it. Thought, let's just see if it'll break that up on the side. So what we did was take this pan outside in the backyard. Basically, it's a gel. We just poured it on each side and let it just run down the sides. The bottom was completely all the way down to metal using this. And so what it did was it didn't take off the paint. So we're either stuck back right where we were. But what it did do was remove all the grease and grime and crud, leaving that base coat of like factory black paint. And so we were kind of cautious, not sure that it would cover when we went to start primering with the Rust-Oleum primer. But it did because it was so clean. This is not, exterior paint of the car. This is going underneath the car. And I know what you're probably thinking. It's going to look like crap in a month. Well, I know it's going to get dirty and cruddy. But the thing is, we're not putting it back on the car the way it looked before. So yeah, it's extra work. It is. But it's pride of ownership. And so this is the paint that we use. Rust-Oleum caliper paint. It's tested to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. The transmission fluid does not get that hot, but it gets hot. This pan gets very, very hot. And so I want to make sure that we're using a paint that was a heat resistant, auto application type paint. We like Rust-Oleum, also a big fan of Krylon, but Rust-Oleum makes this caliper paint. We bought it a couple of years ago and never used it because we ended up taking our calipers off and having them powder coated instead of painting them. But that's what this is for. It's going to withstand all the heat that this pan's ever going to take from the transmission fluid. And I like the color. I think it looks great. So what we're doing now, because this is holding up the project, we can't put the Z back together until we put this pan back on. is we're taking a Wagner heat gun on low and just at a distance of about, a foot away, just brushing with the heat gun, just like you would spray paint, doing this motion. We're doing that with the heat gun, and what it does is it speeds up the drying process. This should be able to be handled in an hour. We're about 25 minutes to 30 minutes into the drying process, but we're just going to make sure. So using the heat gun to help it cure even more, because we want to put the car back together. And we also changed the engine oil, and we're adding Ceratec for the first time, and our oil change for the Z also changed to a 10W40 weight liquid moly for wintertime. We've been running 5W50 in the summer, then we went to 5W40, now we're going to 10W40 for the wintertime. Anyway, so I like the way it came out. I think it came out pretty nice. We're going to keep kind of curing it with Wagner, and then I'll do another clip. We get out to the Z and get this pan back on, and probably maybe show you a shot of the transmission. I think I already GoPro'd the transmission with this pan off. But the good news is when we did clean the strainer, I'll just move over here. This is the strainer. We flushed this multiple times with mineral spirits, which is the procedure that we're following from Kenneth Chong. Posted this back in 1998, changing the auto training fluid in a turbo and non-turbo models. It's a great guide. It's very meticulously done with pictures, and I'll just read you what he says. So clean up the strainer, washing out iron filings with mineral turpentine. Dry thoroughly. Prepare for the good or bad news. A few particles, no need to dip into the piggy bank. Lots of brown chunks, clutch plate disintegration, overhaul. Lots of steel filings, clutch plate, brake band, bearing disintegration, overhaul. Lots of aluminum filings, bushings, and cast parts disintegration, overhaul. None of those things happen, so we're super elated. When we flush this strainer assembly into a catch pan, basically the type of pan that you would change your oil and catch the oil in, there was just the smallest amount of small, it wasn't even metal filings. It just looked like just dirt, like just little super tiny particles, just only maybe like 8 or 10. They weren't metal. They did not look metallic. And we flushed it from both sides. So we poured down this hole, which goes up in the transmission, and we also poured it through this strainer opening right there multiple times, flushing it real good, and nothing bad came out. So we're super happy about that. We also took, these are two retainers for oil lines that connect to, we have to remove because they connect to the cables are in the way of the strainer being removed, so you have to remove these. And so they did not look like this. So you see these, yeah, they look used, but you couldn't even tell they were metal. They were that bad. You couldn't even tell that they were metal. And what we did was we soaked them in degreaser. We put these in a coffee cup and poured degreaser in until they were covered in degreaser. Let it set for about 2.5 hours, and then just took a Scotch-Brite sponge, the rough side, the side that has the abrasive on the sponge, and just cleaned them up. Are they brand new? No, they don't need to be, but we're not putting greasy, cruddy, disgusting parts back on our car. So that's just one of the things we do when we do any kind of maintenance action. We just clean everything up. It's just as clean as we can get it before we put it back on the car. Yeah, will it get dirty again? Of course it will. And next time we do this service in, probably 20,000 miles, most people do it 30 to 50,000. We're going to do it less than that. Might even 10,000 miles from now. We might do it. And take the strainer out and clean the strainer and do a full on deal. And so this is the new gasket. These are the new 18 bolts that hold the pan onto the bottom of the transmission. This is a new O-ring that goes right here. So you see the O-ring. Well, it's 30 years old, so we're going to put a new one in, and we'll just put this one in our drawer. So it's kind of flattened out over time. We're going to put the new one on, and we're going to just use a slight amount. So this is called Permatex The Right Stuff 90-minute ready to service gasket maker. We have a gasket, but we're still going to take this with our thumb or finger, and we're just going to make a light bead across the entire exterior surface of the bottom of the pan where this gasket fits, and then put the gasket on, get it lined up really good, press it down, just so we have just a little extra filler in any gaps. Now, this transmission pan has never leaked, and it's not going to leak when we put it back on either. And then what we'll do is, once we get this mated down to the bottom of the pan, we'll do it again. We'll take our finger, and on the top of the gasket that's going to go flush against the bottom of the transmission, we'll put another bead of this Right Stuff Permatex black that you'll see right on it. It says high flexibility and oil resistance. So Permatex has multiple different products: gray, they have red, they have black. They have different colors for different auto applications. This is the right stuff for oil pans or transmission pans like we're doing. This is the stuff that you want. So we're going to use that, put this back together, and hopefully